Speaking of expecting, all I ever wanted in my life was to be a dad. And you can imagine how excited I was when I found out that we were expecting our first child. It was exhilarating. All I ever wanted was a son, an heir, someone to carry on the name. One of the first questions people asked us when they found out that we were expecting is, are you going to find out what you're having? Now, people take this very seriously, have very strong opinions about whether or not you should find out what you're having. And I said, well, it's really up to Terry, my wife, and she's really doing all the work. I just want to support her. All right, that was kind of a blatant suck up to the ladies. I apologize. I was dying to know. I wanted to find out, and thankfully so did she. But it almost seemed like a formality because I knew we were going to have a son. So we went to the doctor's office, and this was so cool. This was amazing. We get to the doctor's office. Terry's out on the table there, and we sit down for the sonogram. Oh my gosh, to hear my son's heartbeat, to actually see his fingers and toes, to see his spine. And the doctor was taking us very methodically through each one of the vital organs, making sure that everything was okay. And the doctor said, here's the heart, here are the kidneys, here are the lungs, here's the liver, here's the labia. Labia? What the heck's a labia? And what's my son doing with one? I said, is that a medical term, doctor? Is that Latin for penis? No, you're having a little girl. I don't want a little girl. And I'm embarrassed to admit it, but it's true. This is exactly what happened. I literally pushed myself away from the table, sat back in my chair, and I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. What I'd waited my whole life for. And all I felt was disappointment. And as I sat there feeling sorry for myself, head hung low, the doctor asked us if there were any questions. And my wife, being the smarter of the two, said, well, are there any problems? And the doctor said, problems? And I lifted my head and said, yeah, besides the fact my son's missing his penis. And the doctor said, without hesitation, she said, well, that explains why the brain is so big. Excuse me? She said, yeah, actually, a developing fetus has limited resources. And then little boy babies, when their penises start growing, their brains stop developing. They actually measure the size of the baby's brain to verify the sex of the child. They find that a little baby girl's brain is 2 to 3 weeks more developed than a little boy's brain. Sure would explain a lot, wouldn't it, ladies? Of course, my response was, oh. We left the doctor's office, and I was pretty devastated by the news. Terry, in an effort to comfort me, she began to apologize. It's just so embarrassing, but it's true. She actually felt guilty, but doesn't the man contribute the chromosome that it was me? In an effort to cheer me up, she began to share with me the important role a father plays in a young girl's life, and had me focus on the opportunity that was before me. And I actually started to get excited about having a little girl. As the birth of our daughter approached, people would tell me in an effort to comfort me, those tests are not 100%, you might still be having a son. And I would say, well, no, I don't want a son anymore. I want a little girl. And Audrey Catherine is the joy of my life. It's better than I ever possibly could have imagined. I mean, I think about what I would have missed out if I would have had all boys. I would have never known the joy that is my daughter. Things are not always as we expect them. Sometimes they're better. And that certainly has been the case for me. I tell you, my affection for this child, it borders on inappropriate. I just love her so much. And the highlight of my day is when my little girl and I take our bath together. I mean, I know we can't do it for much longer. I mean, a little girl and her father. I try to cherish and savor each one of these fleeting moments. I figure I got till prom, and then that's it. I mean, people talk, right? Things are not always as we expect them. Sometimes they're better. As an industry, we've gone through some